The way you think determines the way you live. Start today by taking command of everything that runs through your mind. Do not wait until you feel motivated. Do not wait until you have confidence to spare. Even if today everything feels out of place, take action, build clarity through the way you think, because a man is exactly what he thinks about. Consider this: if your mind only produced ideas that lifted you up, what would your day look like today? What conversation would you have? What step would you find the strength to take? How much of your current life would still be standing, and how much would have already changed? Understand one thing: the power is not out there in the world. It is in what you choose to put inside your head. When you guide your thoughts toward what builds you up, you change your inner state. And when your inner state changes, everything around you begins to follow. Not because the world transforms overnight, but because you begin to see, to act, and to attract in a different way. The Stoics understood something simple: you become what you feed your mind every single day. The person who strengthens courage, clarity, and discipline grows from the inside out. The person who feeds pessimism digs his own prison, even when he carries within himself everything he needs to break free. The difference between the two is not in their destiny. It is in the inner conversation each one has every morning. And today, this video is a clear order. Guide your mind before it takes control of you. Because a mind without direction does not stay neutral. It drifts wherever fear pulls it. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand how disciplining your thoughts transforms your mood, your courage, your decisions, and how this inner shift opens doors that until yesterday seemed impossible. This is not theory. This is not shallow motivation. These are the principles that have stood the test of time and guided most of the greatest men in history. What comes next could be the turning point of a real change. Do not skip a single part. Do not brush it aside, and come back here whenever you need to. Take a deep breath, straighten your posture, and let us move on to our first lesson. 1. Your mind decides before life happens. Before anything happens in your life, it has already happened inside your head. Before the action, the result, the achievement, or the failure, there is a thought. And it is that thought that decides everything. Everything that happens on the outside begins on the inside. The way you think is the invisible foundation of your reality. If you wake up every single day with your mind drowning in doubt, fear, and complaint, the world will feel heavy, unfair, and exhausting. But if you wake up determined to focus on what you can build, that same world, that same setting, transforms into fertile ground full of possibility. The difference is not in the circumstances, it is in the lens through which you see them. Think about the camera on your phone. 2 people can photograph the exact same landscape on the same day at the same hour. But if one uses a dirty lens and the other uses a clean one, the pictures will turn out completely different. The landscape is the same. What changes is the instrument that captures it. Your mind is that lens, and when it is clouded by negative thoughts, everything you see looks ugly, distorted, and dull. But when you learn to clean it, when you change the focus, the inner tone, the conversation you have with yourself, your whole life starts to change as well. And that change is not just emotional, it is structural. Your brain, your habits, and your emotions start to fall in line with whatever you think about often. Thought is the starting point of everything. It shapes your decisions, it molds your behavior, and it attracts the kind of energy you carry within you. Think about this. 2 men can walk down the very same road. One sees dust, exhaustion, and obstacles. The other sees a journey, a purpose, and a lesson. Nothing has changed on the outside, but everything has changed on the inside. It is the very same road, producing 2 completely different destinations because it was crossed by 2 different minds. That is the true power of positive thinking. It is not pretending that everything is fine. It is choosing the posture you are going to hold on to. It is not denying the pain. It is deciding what to do with it. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." That sentence is a law. What you cultivate in silence will become your voice. What you repeat in your mind will become your destiny. So pay attention to your thoughts. When you wake up, when you work, when you head back home, what runs through your mind? Is it making you stronger, or is it holding you back? Are you the one in command of your mind, or are you simply reacting to it? The difference between the person who moves forward and the person who stays stuck lies in that exact moment. The moment when you decide to stop obeying your thoughts and start steering them. Whoever does not guide their own mind ends up being guided by it, and almost never to a good place. Thinking positively is not naive, it is self-mastery. It is telling yourself, I choose to keep my calm, even in the middle of chaos. I choose to see a way out, even when I am surrounded by walls. And when that choice becomes a habit, life stops being something that happens to you and starts becoming something you build. 2. You are not your own enemy. Stop talking to yourself like you are. Notice something. You are never alone. Even when there is no one around, there is someone talking to you, commenting, judging, giving an opinion about every step you take. That person is you. And that is why the way you speak to others matters, but the way you speak to yourself is decisive. Because your inner dialogue is the operating system of the mind, and if it is corrupted, everything you do will be affected. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I can't do it, this isn't for me, I always mess up? These phrases seem harmless, but they work like mental commands. The brain does not argue with you, it obeys. If you tell yourself that you are incapable, it will act as if you are. If you call yourself weak 1,000 times, on the 1,001st, it believes you. The truth is, no one fails for lack of potential. They fail because of too much self-criticism. You convince yourself that you are not ready, and that belief turns into reality. It is like a judge who condemns the defendant before the trial even begins. Except, in this story, the judge and the defendant are both you. That is why the first renovation you need to make is not in your body, nor in your routine. It is in the language you use with yourself. Think of your mind as a house. The words you use are the furniture. If you fill the space with phrases of guilt, of doubt, and of fear, there is no way to live in peace inside of it. It is like trying to rest in a room full of thorns. But when you start replacing "I can't" with "I am learning," and "I am a failure" with "I am a work in progress," something changes deeply. You stop being the enemy and become your own ally. Seneca used to say, "No wind is favorable to the one who does not know where they are going." And your inner language is the rudder that steers that wind. Whoever lives attacking themselves with words lives adrift. But whoever speaks to themselves with clarity, firmness, and purpose begins to take command of their own destiny. So pay attention to what you say to yourself every day. The mind believes in repetition, not in intentions. Repeat courage, and it will learn courage. Repeat doubt, and it will learn fear. You do not become what you wish for, you become what you repeat. Correcting your inner dialogue is changing the tone of your awareness. It is choosing words that build, and not ones that sabotage. It is understanding that every sentence said to yourself is a seed, and the garden of your mind blooms or rots depending on the words you plant. From today on, every time you hear yourself saying something negative, stop, breathe, and rephrase it. Turn "I can't" into "I can't yet." Swap "I never made it" for "I am trying again." Replace "That's just how I am" with "I am changing little by little." These small changes seem like details, but they are acts of power. Because changing the sentence is changing the direction. Speaking well to the world begins with speaking well to yourself when no one is watching. And when that inner voice becomes your ally instead of your tormentor, thinking positively stops being an effort. It becomes a consequence. 3. Your phase is not your identity. You are not your worst day. You are not your bank account in the red, your resume that's been sitting still, your relationship that ended. All of this is where you are, not who you are. And confusing the two is the mistake that keeps so many people stuck for years. Your reality does not define who you are, it only shows where you are. There are those who look at their own moment and feel shame, fear, or helplessness, as if the now were a final verdict. But the now is only a chapter, not the entire book. Today's page may be hard, but the story is still being written, and the author is you. Nobody judges a book by its most painful page, so why would you do that with your own life? And if at this moment you feel that you are far from where you wanted to be, understand this. Distance is not defeat, it is direction. Distance only measures how much there still is to grow, not how much you have failed. Whoever is far from the destination is still on the road. Whoever gave up, that one truly stopped measuring. What separates you from the life you want is not time, it is mindset. If you start the day thinking with faith, with focus, and with determination, something inside you falls into place, and what was stuck begins to move. Think of that woman who lives alone, surrounded by bills, fears, and doubts, and even so decides to do what she can. She tidies the house, mops the floor, brews some coffee, and writes on a piece of paper, one day at a time. In that instant, she has not yet changed the world, but she changed the weather inside her. And that is the beginning of every turnaround. Every great transformation begins small, in a gesture nobody sees, on a day nobody applauds. Reality is not the enemy, it is the stage where you train your faith. You may not have arrived yet, but you have already started walking in the right direction. And destiny inevitably answers the one who moves with conviction. The first step to change the world around you is to change the tone of your mind. Notice what you say to yourself. Do you encourage yourself or criticize yourself? Do you focus on what you have or on what is missing? Do you allow yourself to dream or do you sabotage yourself before you even try? Before you change cities, change jobs, or change your life, change your inner speech. That is where everything is born. The inner dialogue is the invisible foundation of self-confidence. And every true change begins inside it. You are the director of your mind, not an extra in your own thoughts. If you do not direct your own narrative, someone or something will do it for you, and rarely does the one who takes over the script of your life write a happy ending for you. Do not allow old ideas, repeated fears, or limiting beliefs to take control of your story. You choose what to cultivate, and what you cultivate every day becomes the ground of your reality. Epictetus used to say, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to what happens that matters." And that is exactly it. Victory is not born from the environment, it is born from the attitude. Two people can go through the same fall, one of them gets up stronger, the other one gets used to the floor. The difference is never in the fall, it is in the response. Positive thinking is not an automatic reaction, it is a conscious practice. It is looking at your own life and saying, I can start over from here, and that is enough. So, do not be intimidated by your current phase. It is not an obstacle, it is training. And whoever learns to keep the faith in the middle of hardship gains a strength that no easy victory can ever give. What feels like weight today, tomorrow will be structure. And what tests you today, tomorrow will hold you up. Because life does not shape the one who only receives, it shapes the one who walks through. 4. Train your mind until insecurity breaks. Insecurity doesn't disappear because you ask it to, it disappears because you train. Whoever waits for confidence to arrive as a gift will be waiting their whole life. Whoever trains, conquers. Confidence isn't born by chance, it's born from training. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And that training begins every single day, the moment you wake up. The first voice you hear in the morning is the one that decides whether your day will be guided by faith or by fear. And that voice is yours. It can be the voice of rush, of doubt, or it can be the voice of calm, the one that reminds you of what truly matters. The first 5 minutes of the day decide the other 23 hours and 55 minutes, and almost nobody notices this. So the moment you open your eyes, before even glancing at your phone or thinking about your obligations, say out loud 3 things you are grateful for. It can be something simple: the bed you sleep in, the air you breathe, the roof over your head. Gratitude is the quietest and most powerful exercise of self-confidence because it shifts the mind's point of focus. It teaches you to look at what you have, not at what is missing. And when you change the focus, you change the frequency of your thoughts and the energy with which you live. Complaining keeps you trapped in what's missing. Gratitude connects you to what's growing. It's like changing the station on your mental radio. The more you tune in to what is good, the more clarity and courage become part of your natural state. You can't listen to 2 stations at the same time. Either you play the song of complaint, or you play the song of building something. And the more you stay in that state, the more clarity you gain to act, the more lightness to face the day, and the more confidence to decide. Think about 2 people who miss the same opportunity. One spends days beating themselves up, repeating, "I never do anything right." The other lives through the same loss, but chooses to think, "Now I know what not to do next time." The mistake is the same, but one turns it into a burden, the other into a tool. One carries the fall as dead weight, the other uses the fall as a stepping stone. That's how the trained mind creates strength out of falling, not by denying the pain, but by drawing wisdom from it. Robin Sharma wrote, "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily." The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. Notice this. He didn't say, "in your motivation," nor "in your luck." He said, "in your routine." Because it's what you repeat that builds you, not what you feel on the good days. That is the essence of training the mind. When you begin the day with gratitude, you are giving your brain a command, "I am in control." And from that moment on, everything responds differently. Decisions become firmer, words more conscious, and the body starts to obey the mind, not fear. Self-confidence doesn't come from ignoring the hardships, but from believing that you have the resources to walk through them. It is born from the habit of steering your own attention, of choosing what to think and what to feed inside of you. Confidence is not a gift from life. It is a vow you renew every morning, even when the world seems to doubt you. It is the silent commitment of telling yourself, "I can handle this." And handling is the verb of self-confidence. It isn't winning, it isn't dominating, it isn't getting it right the first time. It is handling. Whoever learns to handle, learns to live. So practice this small ritual every morning, 3 reasons for gratitude every day. Over time, you will notice this. The more you acknowledge what you have, the more capable you feel of conquering what you don't. The mind begins to serve you, not to sabotage you. What used to be doubt becomes decision. What used to be fear becomes movement. This simple practice rewires your brain. You learn to see abundance even where you once saw only lack. And when the mind learns to start the day with gratitude, the entire body starts to act with confidence. Because the mind that trusts doesn't ask permission to act, doesn't wait for the perfect scenario, doesn't wait for the fear to pass. The mind that trusts doesn't wait for the right moment. It creates the right moment. 5. What you are speaks louder than what you say. Before you say a single word, the world has already read you. By the way you walk into a room, by the way you look, by the silence you take up. People don't wait for you to speak to form an opinion. They feel you first. The way you show yourself to the world is not about appearance. It's about energy. It's the direct reflection of what you think and feel when nobody is watching. If inside of you there is focus, confidence and purpose, it shines through even in silence. But if there is doubt, negativity and confusion, the world picks up on it before you even say one word. Being positive does not mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to look ahead, even when the road seems full of stones. It's staying steady, confident and hopeful, even when the day starts off rough. It's knowing that even if something doesn't turn out the way you wanted, there is a reason, a lesson, a hidden opportunity. This mindset changes your behavior, because the person who believes in themselves acts differently, speaks with more clarity, stands their ground with more firmness, and inspires more trust. You don't need to shout to be heard, you just need to be whole to be noticed. And that's how the mind transforms reality, not with magic, but with action. Think about this. People don't believe the one who speaks, they believe the one who carries conviction. And that conviction is not born from words, it is born from the alignment between what you think and what you do. A beautiful speech without matching action is theatre, and the world gets tired of theatre fast. The philosopher William James wrote, "Action seems to follow feeling, but really action and feeling go together. By acting as if we had faith, faith will come." That sentence is a map. It shows that the secret is not in waiting to feel confident, but in acting like someone who is confident until it becomes natural. You don't wait to be ready to act, you act, and the readiness comes along the way. Showing yourself as someone competent, positive, and focused is not arrogance, it is consistency with what you are building. It's living as if the victory depended on you, because for the most part it really does. The energy you give off is a silent invitation. It tells the world who you are and what you deserve to receive from it. So, the next time you leave home, walk into a meeting or look in the mirror, ask yourself, what does my presence communicate? Doubt or direction, tiredness or purpose, complaining or building? The answer to that question is not in the clothes you wear, but in the mind you carry. And when your mindset changes, your posture changes. When your posture changes, your presence changes. And when your presence changes, the whole world starts to respond differently, because the world always responds to what you give off, not to what you say. 6. Cast the chaos out of your mind. Do you consider yourself well-informed? Maybe it's time to ask a different question. Are you informed or are you intoxicated? Because most people cross that line every single day without even noticing, thinking they're just catching up, when in reality, they're slowly poisoning themselves. The mind is like a garden. Everything you see, hear, and read enters as a seed. Some bloom, others poison the soil. If you spend the whole day feeding on negative news, social media comparisons, or conversations loaded with drama, it's no surprise if your mind ends the day exhausted and confused. You're not tired of life, you're tired of what you've been putting into it. What constantly comes into you begins little by little to shape what comes out. It's impossible to grow peace with your head buried in noise. People take care of the body with great attention. They choose what they eat, they exercise, they read labels, they avoid excess. But they leave the mind wide open to any kind of emotional garbage. They wash their hands before eating, but they don't filter what they watch before going to sleep. You would never let someone dump trash inside your house, but you allow people to dump pessimism inside your mind every single day. Just take a look. How many times have you picked up your phone and within a few minutes you were already irritated, anxious, or comparing your life to someone else's? That isn't a coincidence. That's conditioning. The screen didn't entertain you. It programmed you. What you consume defines what you feel, and what you feel defines what you do. Filtering what you consume isn't isolation, it's wisdom. It's understanding that everything that comes in through your eyes and ears turns into thought, and thought turns into behavior. There's no such thing as neutral content. Either it builds you up or it eats you away. When you surround yourself with people and content that lift you up, you start thinking better, acting better, and making better decisions. But when you live in the middle of complaining and drama, you start mistaking agitation for intensity and noise for life. You start believing you're living, when in reality, you're only reacting. That's why you should choose carefully the voices you listen to, the content you follow, the conversations you feed. All of that is a diet, just for the soul. As Eckhart Tolle once said, pollution is not only out on the streets, it's also inside the human mind. And he was right. The excess of information, drama, and comparison is a form of mental pollution, and if you don't create filters, you end up breathing that in every single day. Then, when you feel suffocated on the inside, you can't figure out where that heavy air came from. It came from everything you allowed in without questioning. Shutting off what contaminates you isn't weakness, it's mental hygiene. Avoiding certain people or topics isn't arrogance, it's self-care. You don't have to prove you're strong enough to listen to everything. You just have to be wise enough not to let everything in. A protected mind isn't a closed mind. It's a conscious mind. Take care of your mind the way you would take care of a garden. Pull out the weeds of pessimism, water the good seeds of clarity, and let silence become your fertilizer. Because a garden without care doesn't stay neutral. It turns into a wild patch of weeds. In the end, what grows inside you is exactly what you choose to allow in. And what you allow in today will be what runs your mind tomorrow. You don't reap what you wish for, you reap what you consume. So ask yourself every single day, before opening any screen, any conversation, any door, is this a seed or is this poison? 7. Your goals need to survive your real day. There is a huge difference between wanting something and belonging to something. Wanting is desire. Belonging is identity, and only what becomes identity comes true. The more distant a goal feels, the harder it is to make it real. And the reason isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of belonging. The human brain only puts in effort for what it recognizes as part of its own identity. Studies by neuroscientist Hal Hershfield from the University of California revealed something striking using magnetic resonance imaging. When most people think about themselves in the future, the brain reacts as if it were thinking about a stranger, not about themselves, about another person. That is why so many people struggle to save money, to take care of their health, to study for something long-term. They look at their future self as if it were someone else, and the brain doesn't fight for whoever it doesn't recognize as part of itself. You act with strength when you feel that something belongs to you. That is why distant dreams die and embodied goals bloom. The difference between desire and result lies in the feeling of belonging. When something is yours, the brain doesn't negotiate, it executes. Everything you desire needs to be brought into your routine, into your language, into your body. When you say, "my goal," it is still far away. But when you say, "this is part of my life," the brain understands that it is happening now and starts acting to align the present with that idea. Language doesn't describe your reality, it builds it. Think about someone who wants to change their body but keeps saying, "one day I'll start working out." Now think about someone who says, "I am someone who trains, even when tired." The first one lives in the field of intention, the second one in the field of identity. And that is why one stays stuck wanting and the other evolves. One waits for the right moment, the other became the right moment. You don't need to wait to be in order to begin, you need to begin in order to become. Repeat this. The closer you get mentally to your future, the faster it becomes the present. Every day, declare out loud what you want to build, not as a request, but as a fact that already belongs to you. Say, I have a strong and disciplined mind. Everything I touch gets better. I am capable of achieving whatever I decide. It doesn't matter if, in the beginning, you don't believe it. The human mind learns through repetition, and the brain doesn't distinguish imagination from reality when exposed to the same information frequently. It is the same principle that makes a commercial repeated 1,000 times turn into truth inside your head, except this time the advertiser is you, and the product is your new life. Repeat with conviction, and your mind will start to accept. When your mind accepts, the body executes. As William James, the father of modern psychology, used to say, "Believe that the action is possible, and you will create the conditions for it to be." And that is the power of belonging. You don't wait for the future to arrive, you pull it closer until it becomes part of your life now. It isn't about reaching who you want to be. It is about stopping running from who you are already becoming. Write in the comments, "I already belong to the life I am building," and understand this. It isn't just a comment, it is to declare something inside of you. When you write, you give shape to the idea, you plant a seed in the unconscious, and you create a real starting point. In that very moment, you are not just typing words, you are telling your mind that control is back in your hands. You are signing a silent contract with your future, and when the mind understands this, life begins, little by little, to obey. 8. Today is the day your confidence grows. Everything changes when you decide to believe in yourself, not after things work out, but before. The real turning point begins when, even without proof, you choose to act like someone who is capable. Because believing is not waiting for the world to confirm it, it is building that confirmation inside of you, brick by brick, action by action. A winning mindset is not born by chance, it is born from practice. Day after day, you strengthen that invisible muscle that holds you up when no one else believes in you. And like every muscle, it hurts before it grows. Luck does not just show up, it is created step by step by the hands of those who refuse to give up. Life has never been a straight line. We all walk through dark times. I lived through mine too. There was a time when I had no money, no direction, sleeping in a small, empty apartment. The walls felt taller than they really were. The silence heavier, but inside of me there was a spark, a tiny flicker of hope, and that was enough to start, because no fire ever starts big. Everything that burns bright started small. That was when I understood something that changes everything: the power of inner dialogue. What you say to yourself when no one else is listening is what shapes the direction of your life. Listen closely. The words you repeat in silence carry more weight than any advice anyone could ever give you. If when you slip up you tell yourself, "I am useless," your mind takes that as the truth. But if you say, "This is part of the process, I am going to get better," it starts to rewire you. And little by little, the confidence comes back. The strength comes back. The faith in yourself is reborn. Not all at once, not with fireworks, but like a light that grows brighter little by little until it lights up everything. You do not need to fully believe in yourself from day one. You just need to stop tearing yourself down. Before you learn to praise yourself, learn to stop demolishing yourself. Self-confidence is not a victory cry. It is a whisper that repeats itself until it becomes conviction. True positive thinking is not denying the negative. It is reframing it. It is taking the weight and turning it into training. It is looking at the past and seeing lessons where there used to be pain. The same story can be a scar or a diploma. It depends on how you choose to tell it. Do an exercise right now. Grab a sheet of paper and write down 3 difficult moments you have lived through. For each one, write down what you learned. Maybe you lost a job, but you learned to be more resilient. Maybe you were rejected, but you discovered that your worth does not depend on anyone else's approval. Maybe you were betrayed, but you learned to trust with more discernment. Maybe you failed, And it was exactly that failure that taught you what no success ever could. This exercise turns the past into wisdom. It shows that even on the darkest days, life was getting you ready to shine even brighter. You were not being destroyed, you were being polished. And polishing hurts because it takes pieces away. But what remains shines. As Viktor Frankl once said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that is exactly what faith in yourself really is. The decision to keep growing, even when nothing on the outside seems to be backing you up. Believe in yourself when there are no results yet. Believe when no one else sees your effort. Because it is in that invisible stage that real strength is forged, in the silence, in the exhaustion, in the persistence. Everything that is strong was forged in secret before it ever showed up to the world. Believe in yourself without guarantees, even without applause, because life does not reward those who wait to feel confident. It rewards those who act until the confidence shows up. Those who keep walking even without seeing the end of the road. Those who keep going even when keeping going looks like stubbornness, and those who keep at it until the impossible starts to give way. 9. Your potential demands courage. Have you ever noticed how a child is never afraid to create? They grab a cardboard box and it becomes a spaceship. They grab a bedsheet and it becomes a hero's cape. But at some point in life, someone taught you that this was a waste of time, and you believed it. The problem is that along with the playfulness, you switched off the most important tool you had. You were born with two powerful abilities, but most people go through life without ever realizing it: imagination and creativity. These forces are not gifts reserved for artists, writers, or geniuses. They are natural human tools, seeds that everyone carries but few people water. Creativity is the ability to see a door where there used to be only a wall. It is the power to transform what seems impossible into something achievable, and what seems confusing into clarity. It is not about drawing beautifully or writing elegantly. It is about refusing to accept that the road has ended just because it got hard. Every time you find a way out in the middle of chaos, you are creating. Every time you solve a problem with few resources, you are innovating. Every time you improvise, adapt, adjust, you are exercising the power you thought you didn't have. You are creative every single time you refuse to accept that there is no way out. Think of someone who lost their job and, instead of giving up, started selling something simple, learning a new skill, or building an alternative that nobody had tried before. That person may not realize it, but in that moment, they are using the very same power that builds companies, books, and inventions. The ability to imagine a path when everyone else sees a dead end. The difference between the person who sinks and the person who reinvents themselves is not in their resources, it is in their imagination. The creative mind is not a luxury, it is a survival tool. The problem is that over time, the mind becomes tamed by the fear of being wrong. You start thinking inside boxes that you didn't even build yourself. Boxes built by school, by family, by society, and you spend your entire life trying to fit inside them without realizing that you were never made to fit. You learn to repeat formulas, to doubt your own intuition, and you forget that imagination is the single most powerful tool that exists for changing the course of your own life. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge shows what already exists, but imagination creates what does not yet exist. It is the bridge between what you have and what you want to build." A creative mind is not limited by its circumstances, it redesigns them. And the more you exercise it, the freer you become, because you discover that reality is not a fixed wall, it is an open field waiting for a new way of being seen. Where most people see a problem, the creative mind sees raw material. A strong mind builds paths where others see only walls, and that is the power you need to remember you have. the power to turn thought into direction and direction into results. Every great change begins when someone dares to imagine something different and decides to act, even when they don't yet know exactly how. So, don't wait for inspiration. Create motion. Inspiration doesn't knock on the door of someone who sits around waiting, it shows up right in the middle of the action. Every time you imagine a solution, an idea, a new way of acting, act on it. Action is the brush that turns imagination into reality. It is the point where the mind stops dreaming and starts building. And when you start acting from your own mind, life stops being a repetition and starts being an ongoing creation, because the mind that creates does not depend on circumstances, it transcends them. And whoever learns to use this power never feels limited again, because they understand that inside themselves there is always one more path to follow. So remember, you don't need more resources to begin, you need more courage to use what you already have. You don't need the world to believe in you first, you need to believe in yourself first, and the world will eventually catch up. Imagination is the starting point, courage is the engine, and action is the road. Whoever combines these three stops being a prisoner of reality and starts becoming its author, because potential kept inside is a burden. Potential in motion is destiny. The Stoic House is more than a channel, it is a refuge, and you are an essential part of it. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.